The Council's fear. The great crystal dome of the Galactic Council chambers had witnessed many historic moments, but never had Ambassador Kethtar seen such fear in the eyes of the galaxy's most powerful beings. His crystalline form caught the light from 1,000 worlds as he stood before the assembled representatives, each species more anxious than the last. "Order, please." Kethtar's voice resonated through the chamber like chimes in a storm. The babble of worried voices gradually died down. "We are here to discuss the human situation." At the mention of humans, the chamber fell completely silent. Even the Gorvani, who were known for their constant chittering, stopped their nervous sounds. Commander Voska of the Zelthian Defense Corps stood up, her 4 arms gesturing toward the holographic display at the center of the room. 3 days ago, our deep space monitors detected massive energy surges from the human quarantine zone, she announced. The display showed a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy, with most sectors glowing in peaceful blue. But at the edge, a large section pulsed ominous red. "The readings are unlike anything we have seen in 75 years. Dr. Mirindo, her gaseous form shifting colors with emotion, floated closer to the display. As the galaxy's leading expert on human psychology, she had spent decades studying the species that had voluntarily exiled themselves from galactic society. The energy patterns suggest they are activating something on a massive scale, something that spans multiple star systems. "Impossible," wheezed the Thurian representative through his breathing apparatus. "No single species has that kind of power." "Humans do," Mirindo replied softly. Her form flickered from blue to deep purple, indicating extreme concern. "We have always underestimated them. Even when they walked among us, we never truly understood what they were capable of." Kethtar remembered those days clearly. 75 years ago, humans had been active members of the Galactic Council. They had been peaceful, diplomatic, even helpful, but they had also been unsettling. There was something about the way they looked at the stars, as if they could see threats that others could not. They asked strange questions about ancient history, about dead civilizations, about things that should have been forgotten. "Tell us again why they left," requested the symbiont collective, their multiple voices speaking in unison. Commander Voska activated another section of the display. 75 years ago, the human ambassador requested an emergency session. Ambassador Elena Rodriguez stood exactly where Dr. Mirindo is floating now and made an announcement that shocked everyone. The hologram changed, showing archived footage of that fateful day. A human woman with graying hair and tired eyes stood before the council. Her voice echoed across the decades. "Humanity must withdraw from galactic society immediately. We cannot explain why, but we ask that no species attempt to enter human space. For the safety of all, we must remain isolated." "She looked terrified," whispered the ethereal representative, her light form dimming. "I remember thinking that humans, who feared nothing, were afraid of something we could not see." "The vote was unanimous," Kethtar continued. "We agreed to respect their wishes. We established the quarantine zone and marked human space as forbidden territory. For 75 years, we have honored that agreement. And for 75 years, we have wondered what they were hiding," added Voska grimly. Dr. Mirando's form shifted to a worried yellow. "In my research, I have discovered something troubling. Human history is full of stories about protectors, about individuals who sacrifice themselves for others. They have myths about guardians who watch over sleeping villages, about heroes who face impossible odds to save everyone else. Myths and stories are one thing," scoffed the Megalith representative, his rocky voice echoing. "Reality is another." "Is it?" Mirindo challenged. "What if their stories are not myths? What if they are training manuals? What if humans have been preparing for something we cannot imagine?" The chamber erupted in nervous chatter. The idea that an entire species could dedicate itself to a single purpose for generations was unthinkable to most galactic civilizations. But humans had always been different. Kethtar raised his crystalline arms for silence. The energy readings from 3 days ago suggest that whatever they have been preparing for, it may be happening now. We must decide how to respond. We could try to contact them, suggested the Aquarian delegate, his water suit bubbling with agitation. Surely, after all these years, they would be willing to explain. When they reached the boundary, Captain Chen's final transmission was simple. The next time you look at the stars, remember that there are those who guard them in the darkness. Sleep well, Commander. Humanity watches so that you can. As the alien ships crossed back into Council space, carrying the truth that would reshape galactic civilization, the humans resumed their eternal vigil. Behind them, in the depths of space, ancient horrors pressed against barriers maintained by an entire species that had chosen duty over dreams. And in the council chambers, Ambassador Cathcart would soon face the most difficult task of his long career, explaining to 1,000 different species why they owed their existence to the ones they had feared the most. They began consuming other species, Captain Chen continued. Not for food or resources, but for the experience of growth and change they could no longer achieve themselves. They would absorb entire civilizations, adding their knowledge and uniqueness to their collective. They consumed thousands of species before the last free civilizations managed to trap them. Dr. Yevek's tentacles had gone completely still. How long have you been containing them? We discovered the failing containment systems 90 years ago, Captain Chen explained. The original builders had been dead for 2 billion years. The automated systems were breaking down. We had perhaps 50 years before catastrophic failure. Why did you not contact the Council? Voska demanded. This affects everyone. We tried, Captain Chen replied sadly. But we ran simulations based on galactic psychology profiles. Do you know what happens when you tell 1,000 different species about an existential threat that requires immediate, unified action? Voska fell silent. She knew exactly what would happen. Panic, conflicting solutions, political maneuvering, and ultimately paralysis until it was too late. We realized that humanity was the only species with the psychological profile necessary for this task. Captain Chen continued. We are comfortable with long-term sacrifice for abstract principles. We can maintain focus on a single goal across multiple generations. So we made the choice. What choice? Dr. Yevek asked, though Voska suspected they all knew the answer. We withdrew from galactic society and dedicated our entire civilization to maintaining the containment. Every human born in the last 75 years has been raised with one purpose: to keep the devourers locked away. Our scientists work on improving the containment systems. Our engineers build better monitoring stations. Our military guards against any possibility of escape. The implications hit Voska like a physical blow. You gave up everything. Your place in galactic civilization. Trade, cultural exchange, exploration. We gave up our future so that everyone else could have one, Captain Chen confirmed. And we did it willingly because someone had to. The energy surges we detected 3 days ago, Voska realized. A partial containment failure in Sector 7. We had to reroute power from 12 star systems to reinforce the barriers. It took everything we had, but we managed to prevent a breach. Dr. Yevek's voice was barely a whisper. How many of you are there now? 43 billion humans, all dedicated to this one task. We have turned our entire species into guardians of a prison that must never be opened. Voska felt shame wash over her like a tide. For 75 years, the galactic community had viewed humanity's isolation with suspicion and fear. They had created myths about human aggression and dangerous technology. Meanwhile, humanity had been sacrificing everything to protect them from a threat they could not even imagine. Captain, Voska said formally, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I apologize. We should have trusted you. Captain Chen's expression softened slightly. You could not have known. But now you do, and you must decide what to do with this knowledge. We can help, Voska offered immediately. The combined resources of the entire galaxy. would destabilize the containment within months, Captain Chen interrupted. This system was designed by humans for humans. Our psychology, our decision-making processes, our social structures. Introducing other species would create conflicts and inefficiencies that could lead to system failure. Then what can we do? Dr. Yevek asked desperately. What you have always done, Captain Chen replied. Live your lives, grow your civilizations, explore the galaxy. The only difference is that now you know the cost of your freedom. Captain Chen's ship began moving away from the containment facility. As they prepared to escort the alien vessels back to the boundary, she spoke once more. Commander, when you report to the Council, tell them this. Humanity chose this burden freely, and we bear it without resentment. But we ask only that our sacrifice be remembered, and that the galaxy we protect remains worthy of protection. As Voska's ships followed the human vessel back toward the edge of the quarantine zone, she realized that everything had changed. The galaxy would never look the same once she delivered her report. The unknown threat they had feared discovering turned out to be their salvation, maintained by a species that had voluntarily condemned itself to eternal vigilance. Commander, her communications officer called out, the human ship is transmitting updated patrol schedules and contact protocols. They are treating us as allies now. Voska nodded slowly. Because that is what we should have been all along. All our attempts at communication have been ignored, Voska reported. They maintain automated beacons along their borders that simply repeat the same message. Stay away for your own safety. Nothing more. Then we must send a reconnaissance mission, declared the Predator-class representative, his fanged mouth clicking with determination. We need to know what threat we are facing. The treaty specifically forbids entering human space, Kethtar reminded them. The treaty was made to protect us from the unknown, Voska countered. But if the unknown is about to affect the entire galaxy, we have a responsibility to investigate. Dr. Mirando floated between them, her gaseous form now a deep red of alarm. I must warn you all. In my studies of human psychology, I have learned that they are capable of making choices that other species would consider impossible. They can sacrifice everything they value for a principle they believe in. If they have isolated themselves for 75 years, they had a very good reason. What reason could justify cutting themselves off from all galactic civilization? Asked the symbiont collective. I do not know, Mirando admitted, but I fear we are about to find out. The debate continued for hours. Some argued for immediate contact, others for reinforcing the quarantine zone. A few suggested they should prepare for evacuation of border systems. But in the end, fear won over caution. I propose a limited reconnaissance mission, Kethtar announced. A small fleet, led by Commander Voska, will approach the human border. They will observe only, with strict orders not to enter human space, unless absolutely necessary. The vote was close, but it passed. Commander Voska bowed her head in acceptance. I will take 3 ships. We will maintain maximum distance and use passive sensors only. Commander, Dr. Mirandu called out as the session began to break up. Be very careful. Humans have a saying. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. I fear our good intentions may lead us to discover something we are not prepared to face. Voska's 4 arms moved in a gesture of acknowledgement. Doctor, in all your research, what do you think we will find out there? Mirandu's form flickered through several colors before settling on a dark blue of deep uncertainty. I think we will find out why humans were willing to give up everything to protect the rest of us. And I think we will discover that maybe, just maybe, we should have been grateful for their sacrifice instead of suspicious of their motives. That night, as Commander Voska prepared her small fleet for departure, she could not shake the feeling that they were making a terrible mistake. 3 ships seemed insignificant compared to the vast energies they had detected from human space, but they were the fastest, most advanced scouts in the galactic fleet. The ships launched before dawn, sleek vessels designed for stealth and long-range observation. As they accelerated toward the edge of known space, Voska wondered if they would return with answers or warnings. Behind them, the lights of the galactic capital grew smaller. Ahead, the mysterious red zone on every star chart waited. Deep in human space, automated systems detected the approaching alien vessels. Warning signals flashed across secure networks, and distant monitoring stations began tracking the intruders. At a heavily shielded facility on the edge of human territory, alarms started sounding. Captain Sarah Chen looked up from her reports as the alert reached her station. After 30 years of service along the boundary, she had hoped this day would never come, but she had always known it was inevitable. Curiosity was a trait shared by all intelligent species, and eventually someone would come looking for answers. She opened a communication channel to the Deep Space Monitoring Network. "This is Boundary Station Alpha. I have confirmation of alien approach. Initiating Protocol Omega." Across human space, the message was received and understood. After 75 years of isolation, their secret was about to be discovered. The question was whether the galaxy was ready for the truth. As Commander Voska's ships crossed into the outer reaches of human space, they detected something that made their sensors scream warnings. Massive structures, hidden in the darkness between stars, were coming online. Energy readings that should have been impossible were registering on every instrument. "Commander," her science officer reported with fear in his voice, "those are not weapons signatures." "Then what are they?" Voska demanded. "They appear to be containment fields. Massive ones, as if they are trying to keep something locked away." Voska felt her heart skip beats as the implications hit her. "Send a message to the Council immediately. Tell them we may have been wrong about everything." The truth revealed. Commander Voska's reconnaissance fleet had been drifting at the edge of human space for 6 hours, and what they had discovered defied all expectations. Instead of weapons of mass destruction or invasion fleets, they found something far more disturbing: a network of massive structures that seemed designed not to project power outward, but to contain something within. "Report," Voska ordered as her science officer completed another scan. "Commander, the energy signatures are definitely containment fields, but they are unlike anything in our database. They span multiple star systems and appear to be focused on a region of space that our charts mark as empty." Dr. Yevik, the expedition's xenobiologist, floated closer to the display, his tentacled form writhed with nervous energy. "Commander, I am detecting trace organic compounds in the energy patterns. Whatever they are containing, it is not mechanical." Before Voska could respond, her communications officer's voice cracked with surprise. "Commander, we are receiving a transmission. It is coming from a human vessel approaching from our starboard side." On screen, Voska ordered, her 4 arms tensing for potential combat. The view screen flickered to life, showing the bridge of a human vessel. A woman with short gray hair and calm eyes looked back at them. Her uniform was simple but bore insignia that none of the aliens recognized. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Human Boundary Service," the woman said in perfect galactic standard. "You are in violation of the quarantine agreement established 75 years ago." "Captain Chen," Voska replied carefully, "I am Commander Voska of the Galactic Council. We detected massive energy surges from your territory. We need to know if they represent a threat to Council space." Captain Chen was quiet for a long moment, and Voska could see the weight of years in her expression. "Commander, you have stumbled onto something that your people are not ready to understand. I am ordering you to withdraw immediately." "We cannot do that until we know what you are hiding," Voska insisted. "The energy readings suggest you have developed weapons that could threaten the entire galaxy." "Weapons?" Captain Chen actually laughed, but there was no humor in the sound. "Commander, these are not weapons. They are the only thing standing between your civilizations and complete annihilation." The alien crew exchanged worried glances. Dr. Yevik spoke up, his voice trembling through the translator. "Captain, what do you mean by annihilation?" Captain Chen studied them for another long moment, then seemed to come to a decision. Follow my ship, but understand that once you see what we are protecting you from, you cannot unknow it. Your peoples may never sleep peacefully again." Against her better judgment, Vaska ordered her ships to follow the human vessel deeper into the quarantine zone. They passed structures that became more massive and complex the further they traveled. Energy readings climbed to levels that should have torn space itself apart, yet somehow everything remained stable. "How are they managing such power levels?" whispered the science officer. "Look at the precision," Dr. Yevik observed with growing awe. "Every energy beam, every containment field is perfectly calibrated. This level of engineering should be impossible for any single species." Captain Chen's voice came over the communication channel. "Commander, we are approaching the primary containment facility. What you are about to see has been humanity's burden for over a century. We discovered it during our early exploration of the galaxy, long before we made contact with the Council. They emerged from hyperspace near a structure that defied comprehension. It stretched across several light years, a network of energy fields and mechanical constructs that pulsed with contained power. At its center, barely visible through layers of containment, something moved. By the void, Vaska breathed. "What is that?" "We call them the Devourers," Captain Chen replied quietly. "They are what remains of the first intelligent species in this galaxy. 3 billion years ago, they achieved perfect technological integration. They became one with their machines, gained immortality, and then discovered that eternal existence without growth or purpose leads to a very specific form of madness." The alien crew watched in horror as the thing at the center of the containment shifted and pulsed. It was massive beyond belief, a fusion of organic and mechanical components that seemed to exist partially outside normal space.